Okay, well, I'm gonna call it, in spite of this thing, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. And can I have a roll call? Who's here?
Peter Dunlop,
Malcolm White,
Sandy Slavin,
Donna's not here. Okay, and Jim Gibberti. Okay, we do not have any minutes, so we're gonna skip that. The next thing is on the agenda would be sewer business. I'm gonna skip over that and skip over the superintendent's report and drop down to new business. We've got some people sitting here on First Hartford Realty Corp. Wanting to get into the queue for allocation, putting in a car wash in place of the old 99.
hey,
Hi,
you're in
Jim.
now, Jimmy.
Huh?
You're showing now.
Oh, okay, good. Something just came up.
hi Jim.
Hey, Mac, how are you?
Don't touch anything. See now. if you
I'm
just
not touching a
Yeah.
damn thing. I'm touching not a damn thing.
Put your hands in your lap for Christ's sake.
Yeah, your computers work great if you don't touch them.
That's right. Okay, it looks like they're requesting an increase to the system, which we're not granting at the present time. But they're not looking to come online until September, which see what the moratorium situation is by then, obviously.
maybe people don't always pick up their packets. Can you tell us what this is? I can read it. We have a new car wash coming in at the old 99, just for those that don't have their packets.
Right, that's what I just said.
I didn't think you said it, sorry.
That's okay.
Thank
just
you. I
wanted to
appreciate
increase-
that.
That you just said they wanted an increase in capacity, but you didn't say,
Well,
What
they
was-
wanted, that's what I was just looking for, the number, that's why I was. Their proposed flows are up to 5,600 gallons a day. They're locating this in the 99 site. The 99 was doing 3,100 gallons a day. So they're looking at an increase of basically 2,500 gallons a day.
Yeah.
Round figures, that's not accurate, but pretty close.
Yep.
so we'll put them in the queue, they're number 6.
That's what I
That's
thought.
right.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, we don't
All
have
right.
any issue. We don't have any issue with that as
No.
long as they're trying to recycle water, blah, blah, blah.
They've got everything there on that. We've got the plans on it as well.
Yep, yep.
Uh,
I don't have a problem with it.
May I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
And I'm sorry, my name is
Introduce
Ari.
yourself.
Yeah, my name is Ari Hesiotis. That's a mouthful. It's a good Irish name. It's actually a Greek name, but I'm the sponsor of the project. And I think, we just heard a couple of comments, which I appreciate. I think all of it was well described from what we put in there about the expectation for use relative to the 99. The only question I have as the developer of the project is, you said we could get in the queue, is what I think I heard, number 6. We'd be looking to, we're going to go through the permitting process now, through the various boards in town, and do the engineering required for those approvals. I don't think we'd even commence construction likely until September, and then probably not open it until, December, something like that. I guess my question, just if I could get some guidance, is, will we be able to, based on your expectation now, should I, as the developer, expect I'll be able to, start to move into the push product or wastewater into the sewer at that time? Can you give me some feedback on that?
Guy, would you like to comment on that? Oh, Guy, are you with us?
Okay, so I was muted and just like, because I keep watching the Masters. Priorities, priorities.
Obviously.
Nonetheless, I think what he's asking is when he goes to various boards, what is he going to tell them? If one board asks, do you have allocation at sewer? What is he to tell them? Is that how I understand the question? Is that what you're asking?
That's correct. And and then obviously just being blunt, if I'm going to go through the engineering, and it's obviously significant time and investment for myself and the boards, will I be able to actually operate, right? So it's effectively the same question, but yes.
So that question, for me to answer that question would be difficult, and I'll give you the reason. We have, once we get online again with the new basins, et cetera, GHD will reevaluate the plant. And this is supposed to happen right around, well, before July.
Mm-hmm.
Once they reevaluate, they'll be issuing a new memo. And that memo will speak to capacity. One of the issues we've had in the past is wet weather and no place to put the wet weather gallons because of all the I&I and things that are happening throughout our system, no fault to yours.
Mm-hmm.
We've addressed that, and we have capacity to handle that. So the engineers will review that and then give the board, advise the board as to how much gallons they're going to allocate. So that's the official answer. I can't tell you until that evaluation takes place. I'm very confident that we'll get everything in, but that doesn't help you. Specific, if someone asks you specific.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the best I can do at this point in time. As we get closer to July, I could probably be more specific as the engineers make their reevaluation and issue a new memo. But that's where we are with this.
Okay.
Ari, to be honest with you, you're behind a 40B project of 93 dwellings.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's one of the 5 in front of you.
Okay. Okay. It looks like I'm not sure if someone was trying to comment. I didn't mean to cut somebody off.
Nope.
Okay. Okay. I guess I think what I heard was there was a degree of confidence that I understand you can't make a commitment to me because of the consultant's review and so on, I think is what I heard. And it's completely understandable that you wouldn't want to make that and couldn't make that until they issued their report. I think I heard there was some confidence that there could be room, so to speak. Forgive me for not using all the right terminology.
No, that's
Okay.
You heard me say that I have confidence looking at the gallons that I suspect will become available, looking at the requests, the 5 that are ahead of you. I have confidence that we'll be fine. But again, I can't make that commitment until I actually get a report from the engineers to either verify my confidence or tell me my confidence was ill-placed. And so as we get closer to that date, I'll be able to answer that with some certainty. Okay.
I think then from and I want to take a lot more of the commission's time here, but I think that probably gives me enough. I'm just telling you, you don't have to tell me a good idea or bad idea, but I think I'm going to proceed with my permitting because it's going to take a number of months, and obviously revisit through the proper channels as we get to July when the report is likely to be issued, and that would tell us. Let me ask one other question, if I may. If the report is favorable and there's room for the other projects and then me, I guess, is what I think I heard the 6th. Would a connection actually, if I wanted to begin operations, I might hook up with construction in September, but begin operations in, November, December. Would the letter would be, I guess the question is, if you get a favorable outcome on the consultant's review and there's ample capacity, would a December hookup seem to make sense?
Well, I'll be very blunt. That building is already hooked up.
Yes.
Technically, if you were using the exact same gallons, because the debate we have is how much is a little bit more gallons. Okay. You can connect because you're already in the system.
Yes.
So we have we had some in all this is that if you increase the flow by a gallon, million gallons, we never define that. It's increased flow out of a specific pipe. So in theory, you're connected. You're
Okay.
already connected to the system.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of saying, okay, how much more flow, and let the board speak to specifics of whether it's a gallon or a million gallons.
Okay.
That's beyond my pay grade. But
Okay.
bottom line is, that building is connected to the sewer. You build, you're tied in, you rock and roll.
Okay.
So as far as the logistics, you're there. You're already in.
Okay.
Basically,
Mr. Chair,
basically, if you, which is the moment, if your proposal, if it was for 3,100 gallons, instead of the 5,600, I think it is,
Yes.
there'd be no discussion.
Yeah.
We're just looking at the incremental increase there of 2,500 on whether or not that's going to be allowable at that point. And, as Guy indicated, his feeling, and I agree with him, it's positive. We think we'll be able to do that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
You're not looking for the,
I would proceed with the permitting.
You would,
Yeah,
you
I
said?
would,
I would.
yes.
Okay.
And I'll give you another reality, sir.
I don't know,
If
look
you-
at the technology, Ari.
Yeah.
Maybe you can hit a target closer to 3,100.
What I'm thinking, to address that, Malcolm, I'm saying if you had a tank that's 2,500 gallons, that may
Right.
hold that you may release it off hours or something to
Correct.
accommodate, we could work. So it's all.
We can
doable
work with that.
within-
Exactly.
within
Okay.
So I would continue.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Sandy.
our moratorium was for new hookups. Our moratorium said nothing about a flow increase.
This is a new hookup.
No,
This
it's not
is not a new
hookup.
hookup. It's
It
existing on
exists.
Route 99.
It exists.
Russell,
It's a new hookup to an existing location.
our engineer, Jimmy.
We can't. We had that situation last week. We voted to let it happen. It was a new hookup to a same location, same pipe. This pipe already exists. The building already exists.
So it doesn't fall under our moratorium.
I would suggest you're correct. We've been around on this, but I thought the moratorium, well, let's say this, according to the original letter from GHD, they advise us no increased flow. The actual written moratorium written by the board stated specific, as you say, Commissioner Slavin, as you state, it did not speak specific to increased flow. Your
It
moratorium.
did not. So I
No,
think
it
this
did
is,
not.
I think this is I don't think this waits until the end of the moratorium because it doesn't meet the criteria of a new hookup.
Yes, Russell.
One thing, so the way the moratorium was written, it said we do not recommend any additional flow. So when we say additional, we have to keep a few things in mind here is that, one thing I wasn't thinking of before is that I believe the 99, that has relocated, correct? That's it.
Yeah, so technically the gallons is still there.
So
Yeah, you're right.
it would be a net gain of 5,600 at the water pollution control facility. However, at the infrastructure leading to the water control facility being
Thank you.
Dix Pond Pump Station and Depot Street, it would be that incremental gain of 2,500. So in accordance with the moratorium, it was no additional flow because this project does have an additional flow aspect. Like this and every other project that came before the board requesting additional flow is subject to the moratorium until it's reevaluated over the next month, where everybody has confidence that, and myself included, has confidence that capacity will open up itself again once we reevaluate the flows. So I agree with everything that was said. I wouldn't anticipate any type of capacity restrictions, but we do have to be consistent with the moratorium and saying no additional flow. So I don't think it's going to impact this project, especially if plans aren't going to go online until November or December, but just for clarity on the language and the wording of the moratorium, it was additional flow.
Thank you.
Okay. I again, wanting to be respectful of all of your time, I think I've heard enough that tells me I'm going to proceed through my, entitlement. And I think it's going to be a good project. I think you're going to be impressed with the look of it when we get it done on a site that's been closed for a while. And I think I've heard enough that there's confidence around capacity growth and so on. So I hope you can appreciate, I didn't want to proceed if you all felt like this was was not going to go from your standpoint. Okay.
No, that's fine. I'd say you're go ahead with what you're doing, do your planning and all. I mean, I think all of us agree that we feel very confident we'll be able to do this. So I
Great.
see stumbling blocks yet.
Okay. I thank you very much. I don't know if nobody else on my team has any questions. I think we've covered it. I think we should probably bow out of the call and let you continue with your other businesses. Yep. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate the time this evening.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Next, we have Guy. You're going to have to hop in on this one. I don't have any information behind it. This Joseph Stadelman.
I didn't know it was on the agenda, Joe Stadelman.
It was in my packet. That's the only reason I'm doing.
I have no idea. Joe Stadelman
Okay.
felt we gave him too much of an abatement where I was evaluating it. I have not made an official decision. So if you have
Okay.
something, it's without my
No,
knowledge, so you'd have to
No,
address it.
we'll just put it on for next meeting. If we need it. I'm just looking at what was included in the packet that I picked up.
It wasn't in my packet, so she must have gave you a special one.
Whoopee. And then we have the proposal from Kleinfelder.
Again, it's not in my packet. I sent it to her when I got it, that Kleinfelder has given us proposal. I believe it was around $21,000.
21,440.
Yeah, it's something like that. Again, it wasn't on the agenda, so, and it wasn't in my packet, so I
Yes.
wasn't going to discuss it.
That was
But-
a not to
but it-
exceed number.
Yes, but I want you to, I called Shalita, who was our contact that we got last time around through legislator Gifford. I called her again and she's very receptive. I talked to Kleinfelder. Once we get going, Kleinfelder will develop a set of plans that we can sit down with her. And she said, when we're ready, she's ready. Her team is ready and we'll have a conversation. So my conversation with the DOT is we're a go, just waiting for Kleinfelder. So once we approve that, probably to the next meeting because it's not on the agenda to vote, but next time we approve that, then we'll move forward and getting this wrapped up.
Anybody got any comments? Okay. All right. Let's put that aside till the next meeting also. EDUs, we haven't sat back down. We've still got issues on that. We've had a couple of letters come in from people that have had comments, which their concerns will be noted during discussion when we get further along. And some of these others, we have got a number of outstanding ones that we're going to have to depend on Guy to be able to check some of them out and give us the input relative to things like doctors' offices, dentists, the hospital, nursing homes needed a review. And some of the others, and we're going to have to arrive at somehow, and I'm not exactly sure how, what an EDU, an individual dwelling unit is. What's going to be the definition of that? Is that going to be, and that's not something we're probably going to decide tonight, but I think everybody needs to at least be aware of that one item is probably going to hinge on where we go forward.
Jimmy, how's that defined right now, just for review?
I don't believe that is defined. I can't find anything that's defining it per se. We talked about saying a 2-bedroom house is a 1 EDU, but at the
Right.
same time, a Title V system that goes in is geared to a 3-bedroom, regardless of how many you have. I mean, you have to have, it's going to be larger.
That's the minimum.
base one.
That's the minimum.
Yeah, the minimum. That's right. That's what I mean. That's the
Okay.
minimum.
Yeah, because
So-
I've thought about that. I'll just throw it out there. I'm leaning towards the 3-bedroom definition. So.
That's fine. I mean,
Well, do
but I
we
think that's
really-
where we gotta come.
Do we really have to decide what a dwelling unit is? If we use a family dwelling and say, 110 gallons per bedroom. And then, do we call, our base EDU 110 gallons? And then if they have a 4-bedroom house, obviously it's 440.
So that'd be 4 EDUs?
Well, yes, but not, we have to stop thinking of EDUs at our
Yeah.
current rate. It would be
Oh, well,
at the new rate.
I mean, that's obviously something we can throw in the mix. I'm not sure how we address that yet, but that's one way to look at it.
Yeah. I don't know how you run a business, but I don't know if there'd be any lesser charge than one EDU.
Right.
No, no, probably not, Mac.
So I'm
But-
afraid to break it down to bedrooms.
I think,
Well, If we break it down to bedrooms, we can't help the people that are in 4-bedroom houses, and yet there was only one occupant, as that one of those letters
we-
that we've received.
No, that's never
No.
gonna happen. That's never
Yeah,
gonna happen.
that's right. that-
Right.
Unfortunately,
But that's something to think about.
I'm looking at the, at what Guy gave us that tells us what the, the standards are. And there's a couple of things like, I don't understand, a multiple family dwelling is 110 gallons per bedroom, yet a family mobile home is 300. How do they come up with these numbers?
The DEP comes up with the numbers by flow rates per capita flow. And that was probably developed in 1996.
So
And
it's,
probably revised after Title V came in, maybe, I think it was revised maybe 2001, 2002.
so
But that's a
this is
DEP
2002 then, roughly?
I believe it was. It could be a little later than that.
All right,
It's revised. I can get you the actual date of the
no,
revision.
that's okay, that's okay.
But so just keep in mind that they based it upon per capita water consumption, which we don't have the ability to get. But I want to stress to the board that there's legal guidelines in this. And one of the legal guidelines in this book is put out by the EPA, states that utility rates and charges and how they apply to customers must be justifiable in a court of law. So whatever we decide, you must have a basis. It goes on to say utility rates must bear some relationship to present or future costs of providing utility service, or courts may deem a rate to be a tax and not a charge, a tax hold with the sole purpose of generating revenues. So a reason why I'm bringing that out is as we proceed in developing rates, what we have to be careful of is that we justify. So in other words, if you say 3 bedrooms, and we know that the average home in Wareham has 3 bedrooms, which is 2.7, whatever, 3 bedrooms. And then we're saying that flow is based upon 300 gallons, and that's what we're saying. Then there's a flow rate, 300 gallons, and we can apply that flow throughout the entire. And then we can tie that back into the flow that comes into the plant, and we're charging for that. So it's all I'm saying is just keep that in mind. I don't have any basis for what they did in 1996 and what a unit actually represents, whether it's 220 gallons, 300 gallons, I don't know. But whatever that was, they took that and they extrapolated out into all the other charges, whether it be industry, commercial, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I just want to caution the board that it has to be justifiable. If we are to be challenged, we have to, be able to.
I don't think we're trying to put anything together that isn't justifiable.
Well, I'm not saying we are. I just,
No.
when we say things like we think, we guess, we just got to kind of.
Oh,
figure this
yeah,
out.
we're thinking, we're guessing at this point. That's all we're doing is thinking and guessing. And we're going to come up with something, but then we'll be able to define it once we
Yeah, that's all I'm
understand
saying.
where we're at.
So based on flow, we know we never get water usage, but maybe somehow we can figure out a flow, tie it into an EDU, and then go from there and then equate it throughout. But I wish I had the notes for the original that give us some guidelines, because CDM, I believe, helped develop the original, and that would give us some guidelines, but I don't have.
That's an interesting point, Guy.
Yeah.
What's better for the consumer, a tax or a fee?
Well, taxes to generate, yeah, it's a tough one because they generate revenue, but I think they're talking about, because we're fee-based for providing a service. I know a town provides many services, there's taxes, but I'm not 100%, I can't legally define that. But all they're saying is that we're charging a fee for service. They give us so much water, we treat it, and we're charging them. That's why there's different fees. In tax, we all pay the same tax rate, generally speaking. But in fees, it's structured by whether you have a restaurant or a motel or a single family home, 3-bedroom home, duplex. All those things have different fee bases. So we have to figure out what we're basing that on. I think
we also have to look at the fact that we're a utility that's really fee-based rather than tax-based, because we're not providing a service for the entire community on a taxing basis. It's only
Understood. Yep.
a certain segment of it.
Yep. Understood.
Fee-based.
so. We're providing and we're charging.
So we're charging fees. So we've got to justify the fees that we charge. That's all. I agree with that. Totally.
Hey, Jimmy,
Yes.
have we ever received the report from the assessors?
Do you have anything on that? I do not.
Didn't we ask for some identification of how many homes by bedrooms?
Yeah.
Wasn't that requested?
Peter, did you?
It's 2.7 bedrooms, the average number of
I'm
bedrooms
sorry.
per home. 2.7 is the average number of bedrooms per homes in the town of Wareham.
So you got that report, Guy?
I don't have the report. She gave it to me verbally and she'll put it together, but she called me up and told me she's doing it. Here's what she's doing and this is what she came up with, and she'll provide a report.
Does that include apartments?
I didn't ask. She just said homes in Wareham, so I don't know. I
I
can't
think
answer that.
homes in Wareham probably excludes the apartments.
It could be, but 3-bedroom apartment would be a 3-bedroom home, I would suggest.
Yeah. Yes.
Did she provide counts?
I don't know. Until we get a report, if you have any specifics, I'll ask her, but I'll wait till I get a report. But she just told me on the phone real quickly that she's run some numbers. She's put some things together, and 2.7 is the number of bedrooms of the homes. Average home in Wareham is 2.7 bedrooms.
I keep hearing word homes. Okay, dwellings.
Dwellings, homes. I hear homes, but that's what she used. So I can't define homes. I'm thinking where people live. I'm not. I can't be more specific than that.
I suppose. Okay.
She didn't say apartments, so so I'm thinking.
I'd be interested in the count to compare it against our SHI list for counts. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Kendrick Pump Station assessment. That's a problem area for us. It's going to become a greater problem going forward. Looking at the maps of our sewer lines, we've got that one line that is obviously abandoned that went from Kendrick Station under 95. From Thatcher Station under 195. Ran down to Narrows. Is that correct, Guy?
No, we do not own it. Makepeace owns it.
Who gave that to them? Do you know?
Not me. Somebody did. Tom
No,
must have.
don't think
So what happened is when it plugged many years ago. I think it was grease, fats, oil, and grease from the industrial park. So it plugged. So Wareham tried in vain to unplug it. So they did not unplug it. 6-inch force main. So what they did is they changed the direction of that force main from Thatcher, head down 28, and then into, they took it into Toby Road and down to Springboard. So the head of Toby Road, that's where that dumps in. There's a manhole at the head of Toby Road by where the dental place is. manhole, it dumps, and then it gravities from there, 12-inch line down Toby into the Springborn pump station. So Makepeace obtained that line. We abandoned it, so they must have, when they were doing their development, Rosebrook, they must have approached the town, and we gave it to them. And so they cleaned it out and slipped in a 3-inch pipe, and that is now their force main. They have 2 pump stations from that development to feed that 3-inch line to Thatcher. And so that Rosebrook development is still in progress. They have another building to go. And they have to build out the apartments and et cetera, et cetera. So we'll be seeing considerable flow in the future from that also. So yeah, we don't own that line. It's
You
not
said that-
available to us.
You said that flows into Thatcher?
It does.
So that goes,
Rosebrook flows into Thatcher.
It does.
It goes back under I-95, 195.
It does. Through the overpass. You know where the ramps are? Comes
Yeah.
under the ramp. Comes under the ramps. That's correct.
Why would it go that way and not come down Main Street? I
Main
mean,
Street-
isn't there a pump station at the police station?
Well, that pump station is the abandoned force main. Yes, the force main used to leave there, go under 195, go behind or by Rogers Garage, come down, grab 28, and then head down the highway. Well, when they cut that off because it was all greased up, they cut at the back end. I think it was cut on the other side of Rogers Garage. And then they use that force, they capped it, they use that force main for pump stations, for the police station's pump station. I believe the gas station has a pump station. Chris Gable has a pump station. I think the Masonic Temple has a pump station. I think maybe the real estate company, maybe another one. That pump station, they pump into that 6-inch force main, continues down and dumps into Tremont Road by the railroad tracks.
Rosebrook goes the other way?
Yes, goes the other way to Thatcher. Thatcher goes over to Toby and into Springborn, and then back up and continues on.
Oh, I thought- Hmm.
okay, then that,
That puts us in worse shape than what we thought we were getting out of.
yeah,
Well, that whole, the industrial park is hammered. It's hammered. And the pot factory just went online too. So when I walked it, and there's not as many gallons come from there as we thought. They're recovering a lot of water and et cetera, et cetera. So I was pleased with the tour. The original, I think they're going to be a little under. They project a little bit more, but they're probably going to be a little under what avionics was originally. So that's a good thing. We'll keep an eye on it. And they'll start their testing. They got the test bit. The guy comes twice a week. They test it, and they'll be sending us the sampling of what's actually happening out of that facility.
okay. Russ, do you have anything to kick in on this? No, Russ?
Sorry, I was on mute there. I was
That's
listening.
okay.
Just general thoughts talking about it. We have an industrial park. We have a couple pump stations that are likely, they're already have issues. If the trailer park ties in, another development ties in, they're likely going to be, they are going to be compromised. And the only solution is, there's a few solutions you can look at. There's things like holding tanks at nighttime and other things like that. But if there's going to be continued development that's going to rely on this infrastructure to convey the flow, the town may want to start planning, what's the most feasible, financially feasible way to put in upgrades to handle whatever this future flow might be. We run into these a lot, and the way that Guy described the rerouting of the force mains, this is normal in collection systems as they grow. Plymouth's collection system, everything flows by gravity to the harbor. They pump it all the way back up to the plant, and then they pump it back down to the harbor. It's just the way, so things are kind of hodgepodge together. So you have to have a good understanding of the existing infrastructure, where the pipes are, where they go, what they do, which we're starting to do that with the modeling. Obviously, there's plans. Guy has the knowledge of where this old abandoned force main is. We can evaluate, look if there's options to utilize existing pipes and infrastructure to see if there's a way to reroute flow to free up flow on Main Street. My biggest concern is the gravity sewer on Main Street, because once you build up the flow in Kendrick, then Thatcher, then Springborn, you got to deal with these pipes on Main Street, and that's going to be your real bottleneck. You know, these are all very expensive things to fix, replace, upgrade. So ideally, you know, where my head is thinking is, how do we relieve flow from Main Street? How do we get it somewhere else, if possible? It may not be possible. If it is possible, that's one avenue that can be explored. And then you have to look at, you need a good planning number for what is ultimately going to be pumped into these stations, because we're kind of, you know, shooting in the dark here, just saying, well, we got the trailer park and then we have this factory. And then, well, what about, other developments in the future? If we plan exactly for what the trailer park is, and that's it, then we're going to be in the same situation 5-10 years from now when other development comes along. So we have to design upgrades that have a feasibility to expand incrementally. So if we look at putting either, upgrading pump stations, make sure you can put another pump and make sure pipelines are sized adequately. If we, again, we've talked about holding tanks as something you can do, which you can, but you really that's the last little thing you can do. And then you're really at a position, because then you got flow coming at night, you got flow coming at day, you got I&I coming in. You're keeping a 24/7 flow on your pumps, on your stations. Then you just have to be aware of that. So my recommendation would be is to, let's get a good thorough understanding of what the infrastructure is. Look for ways, is there any, feasible way to relieve the flow on Main Street? And then also look at the Kendrick and Thatcher, what needs to be done. At the end of the day, it's any recommended improvement is going to cost likely a lot of money, but it's just which one costs the least amount of money to accomplish the goals.
We can drill from the industrial park straight to the plant, and there's all kinds of things that can be done. It's just, and Russ's point, I don't even know what the build out of that industrial park is. I mean, there's buildings there. Are they the capacity? I keep asking the town, they may not know what actually is happening. I walked the park looking at what businesses, I find businesses I didn't know existed, but I do see a lot of vacancies. So that, all that good stuff is going to have to be figured out. I have no idea what the potential is. And can they build it more? Maybe there's no more land to build. But keep in mind, we have two more industrial parks that they're working on. And what is the future of those? I mean, that's just another curveball. So if we're going to do something to upgrade, we might want to include those two and make an upgrade at one time that'll handle everything that's in industrial if the town plans to become an industrial, utilize their facilities. And then maybe the town becomes a partner. And it's not solely borne by one set, because the new industrial parks aren't occupied. So maybe the town becomes a partner. There's all these things. So it may take a joint meeting between the selectmen and the sewer commissioners and whatever to get some solid direction as where we want to go and what we really want to do.
So we have 3 industrial parks, right?
I believe there's 3, to my knowledge.
And there's only one that's sewered?
Yes. So
where Factory 5 is not sewered?
yes, it is. That's that. And I don't
So
consider it an industrial park. That's a toll road development owned by wherever they are, JR.
Okay, that's the second one.
No, the second one, if you go down 28. So when they put in Toby Road,
I know where there is one opposite the Cumberland Farms.
There's one across the street.
3.
Yeah, there's one.
Opposite the Cumberland Farms is one. Is that sewered?
No, but so
Is there
they sunk Toby Road deep to come off the backside of that development to put a pipe to tie it into Toby Road. When they built it, that was the plans. That's why they went so deep with Toby Road, to accommodate that. So the town was thinking about it back when Toby Road went in, because Toby Road didn't have to be 12 feet deep, but they did that specifically to gravity that industrial park into the sewer.
Okay. Guy, I'm going to ask a couple questions. Can you let me finish them before we have one major industrial park, and that's where you have the big buildup over Recovery Road all the way down to the Crouton Place and also Factory 5. That's one industrial place and park, and that's fully sewered. Yes or no?
Toll Road is not part of the industrial park, but yes, all that is sewer.
Okay. And then there's an industrial park opposite the Cumberland Farm.
That is correct.
Is that sewered?
No, but provisions are made for sewer. No, it's not actually sewer.
Is there another industrial park?
Across the street from that, perpendicular. If you go across from that, probably on a, look right, there's another industrial park up on the hill.
Oh, where there is a storage place?
Behind it, there's the road goes up there. They're building. It's starting to develop, so I'm not so sure exactly how much is in there, but it's
Okay.
starting to be developed more and more each day.
It has not been developed.
Well, they're working on it. There's a storage building. There's not storage for you and I, but behind it there's a business. Tractor trailers running back and forth up in there, and I'm not so sure exactly what that building is. But they're developing it, just like they're developing the one across from
But
Cumberland Farms.
We don't know how much land is left there for development. We have not, that's not been shared with us.
I do not know, and I think the town would know that. They could probably give us some ideas what their total buildup would be. And same thing with the one across from Cumberland Farms, because the town planned to sewer that. That's why they made provisions on Toby Road. They're gonna
But
run the
it hasn't.
backside of that, so they should know what they have there, I would suggest.
Okay, but that has not been sewered, correct?
No, that is correct.
So we still have a tremendous amount of development in West Wareham to come that we cannot right now handle.
That's correct. That is
Thank you.
correct.
One question, Guy, question for you. When you were describing the use of that, the 6-inch force main that was clogged up due to the fats, oil, and grease. So that it came out that 6-inch, it originally came out of Thatcher, then went underneath the highway there. That line has it now. Is there a 3-inch line inside that goes back to
That is
Thatcher?
correct. So they cleaned it out, and then they took a 3-inch line and pulled it through.
So there's something. Where my head was going was, could we use that line for something else? But if there's already a 3-inch line in it, we probably can't use that.
Right,
line.
that 6-inch was slip line.
Gotcha.
So it's got the 3-inch cased in a 6-inch.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have anything they want to add to this? So we're kind of at a semi standstill with their waiting primarily on that survey to understand what we've got, where it is, piping wise, size wise, et cetera. And you're working on that at the present time.
We are.
Russ is.
Yeah. Yep. We are getting that. We have requested, so we have the model almost built. And that's one, to develop the model, you have to build the model, then you have to put the flows in. I have requested the flows from both the Onset and Wareham fire districts. In an ideal world, we have an Excel spreadsheet that we can very easily incorporate the flows into the model. Commissioner Slavin did forward the PDF files of the water use from the Onset Water District. And I did ask Onset for an Excel file. We could still enter it. We'd just have to go parcel by parcel, which it is what it is, but we can still do it. I asked the Wareham Fire District, had a conversation with Superintendent Cunningham regarding that, and he was going to present that request in front of his Board of Water Commissioners meeting. I believe it's Tuesday, and ask them for release of that. If I am unsuccessful getting the year 2020 flows, I do have a flow from the Wareham Fire District from, I believe it was 2016 or 2015, from years ago. So at least we have something we can work with, but ideally I'd like to, in a perfect, when we model, we look at the last 5 years, each of the last 5 years, we pick the highest year, and that's what we use for our water use flows to be conservative. I got a feeling that might be tough to get. So if we can at least get 2020, that would be the best. If not, we have 2016. So we are working on the model now, but what's going on with Kendrick and Thatcher, it's almost like what's happening, at the treatment plant, which spawned the moratorium. There's commitments that have been made that will overwhelm this station. My suggestion from a consultant would be to consider almost, once the moratorium is lifted on the WPC, on the treatment plant itself, you may want to strongly consider that for the Kendrick and Thatcher pump stations, because they are overwhelmed. Commitments have been made. And if we keep tying flow into it, what's going to happen when the trailer park says, okay, we're ready for 20,000 gallons, but there's nothing to do with it, or there's no place for it to go. So it's food for thought. But it seems that it's been overcommitted for the infrastructure at the industrial park. Unfortunately, we can't put in things like equalization basins at the industrial park. We just don't have the land to do that. We don't have the physical room to put in any such measures. the storage, the tanks that you use for a nighttime, that's the same principle as equalization. But again, that's very limited what that approach will buy you for capacity.
An expensive Band-Aid.
Agreed.
Okay,
Well, I'm like a broken record on that. I'd still like to look into being able to sunset some of those commitments that haven't been used for years.
yeah, well, that is, right now, that happens to be sitting in Rich Bowen's lap.
Yeah. Well, if they want to keep the commitments, they need to pay
Oh,
as if they were using them. I still have a big problem with that. So
I don't disagree with that concept. I don't know if we can do it, but I would like to be able to do something along those lines.
it's not popular, I'm sure.
Uh,
But everybody else is subsidizing that right
Right.
now.
That's exactly what's
I
happening.
don't agree with it.
Can we hold off taking the flow from the trailer park?
No,
Okay, so that's coming. We expect that, within a couple of months?
yes, that's just on the sale. Originally, we did a 5-year plan to phase it in. We committed to the gallons, gave them 5 years to make it easy on the residents. The property is being sold. The condition of the sale is that they tie the sewer in and on. The owners of that park are buying it. So it's got to be reviewed by the Attorney General, et cetera, and that's all being done. And talking to the owner of the present owner, he's like, it's a done deal, getting ready to go. And he said at that point in time, they'll hit the switch and we'll get 17,000 gallons a day. Not all at one source, but that 17,000 gallon a day will be coming at us because all the extra buildings that are now on septic will be tied in, that flow's coming at us. So it'll be this summer.
When you say that was a 5-year deal, did that 5 years begin?
About 4.5 years ago, 4 years ago. So they were right on time. They're within their time frame. I mean, and it was our request, not theirs. We asked them to delay it because we were getting complaints from the residents, and the selectmen decided at that time we would accommodate them, so it would be a little easier for the residents to be able to pay as they went along. And so they agreed.
So Guy, if that GATRA project is approved, where does that flow?
It took Kendrick, so it cannot be. It can be approved, but there's no gallons available for it.
Oh,
I let Ken know as soon as I said, Ken, you can approve it, but there's no place for the flow to go. I had the same problem when Factory 5 expanded. I wasn't part of that deal. They just did it. So expansions are taking place without knowledge, and it's going to become an impact to us.
Jimmy, how can that happen? How come we're the last ones to know about expansions? Shouldn't that
Because
be
they will-
part of the major review of all the
I
permitting?
believe that this has been requested of them before. And
Requested, I'm sorry, requested of whom?
Ken, for one, specifically, because he's the one that's kind of a front burner on most of this stuff.
He only does zoning and planning.
What was that second word you used?
Never mind.
Because it all starts there.
Exactly.
Everything starts there.
I thought.
Exactly.
building did it.
And that's what we said to him is I met with him and said, when you have something come in the door and that's interested, they need to let us know then. I don't care if it ever comes to fruition, but we need to know in the beginning that it's out there, something's going to happen. And that's not the case. We're not getting that word, that. So it's just,
Yeah,
Just
I'm
have to
very
keep hammering it.
concerned that they have the final say on whether or not the 40Bs get approved, regardless of whether or not we can handle the flow. All right,
okay, I don't know. I mean, 40Bs are another animal. I don't know how that,
You're
Plays
absolutely right. That's I think that's out of our league
yeah.
indirectly. We
gotta-
don't have anything
we
to do
have
with
to
them.
handle the flow. We have no choice.
And we'll have to expand. We'll have to figure it out.
Can't we just put it back into their basement?
They don't have basements at Littleton Drive, Littleton. Settlers doesn't have basements either.
Do they have a pool?
Settlers Glen do not. There's no pool planned for Littleton. Nice try.
Well, I was hoping.
Right? You're gonna say, put it in the pond.
Yeah. No, I didn't say that. I'm just trying to stay away from that.
Thank you.
That's what's going to end up, unfortunately. You know.
Mhm.
However,
Oh, before we close, I think you should be aware that our requests for capital items have not gone on the special spring town meeting yet.
What requests?
You put a request for 2022 capital items.
It's in the budget.
I think I said it hasn't gone on the warrant yet.
So is the budget, well, the special? What do we, I thought the special, we talked about the $11,000.
That's all taken care of. It's this annual spring town meeting.
So the annual,
Sorry,
the budget, it's within the budget. Isn't it a
But-
budget? Isn't it within the budget?
oh, Jimmy, can you help here? I mean, it's my understanding that all capital expenditures must be approved as a special article at town meeting.
well,
I
you've got,
I just
you got-
put in the budget for the last 10 years. And
yeah, I was
then-
going to say, you've got budget items that, are they capital or aren't they? They're capital, yes, but
They come out of the WPCF budget.
but they come out of, exactly, they come out of the budget itself as opposed to being a capital appropriation item.
Are you saying, okay, so then why did we bother to put in a article for capital appropriations for capital projects for 2022 for the sewer if we don't need it?
I don't know what project specifically you're talking about.
You wanted a pickup truck. You wanted.
Yes, that goes, listen, so what happens is in my budget, I had $980 something thousand in my budget. That is
Yep.
through EDUs, et cetera, et cetera. I take that funds and I expend it on capital items like trucks, et cetera, et cetera. So that becomes, when I submit my budget to Derek, I submit my expenses, my revenues, and my, along with all
Okay.
expenses, including debt.
Totally-
And I also include
Yep.
capital items that I want to purchase within my budget. And they
Okay,
approve those at town meeting, and then I spend those, I try to. expend
but
those.
your budget line item was for 970,000. There was nothing to specifically say how it's to be spent. There was a request through capital planning to put so much money to each one of the 5 top items you wanted. Now, Jimmy, it's my understanding that has to come from Mr. Sullivan as part of his capital, even though it's coming out of Mr. Campina's budget.
Well, out of the enterprise, and usually you see that, I usually see it in the budget printout. And I don't know if
Yeah,
Mr. Sullivan provides it or the finance committee, but I see that.
Okay,
So I don't know exactly. So that's a good question. We'll have to find
Yeah.
out.
every
But I
year,
Oh, right.
it's been a capital article put in by Mr. Sullivan, with list all the capital expenditures through more than one department. And that's my understanding, the town at town meeting votes on how your capital expenditures will be outlaid.
Right, and they will. But my capital expenses are within my budget. When they approve the budget, they're also
Sorry.
approving my capital expenses.
And Jimmy,
Yep.
put your capital planning on. Why did we bother to vote on approval for Mr. Sullivan to ask for those 5 items? I
don't
thought
know.
capital had to be approved above and beyond for the purchasing of those various things that were wanted.
Excuse me.
Well, if those items are in his capital expense, that's not something that that necessarily goes through us. I think it should go through us for the approval standpoint, whether or not it goes as a
Okay, all right.
article
I think we'll have a discussion at capital planning.
with Derek to find out what he's talking about here.
Okay. Just for the last 6 years, we've had a capital article for every one of the capital expenditures.
And they change by the hour and up until the last
But-
minute.
But it's for police, it's for EMS, it's for sewer, it's for all the departments in town. Okay.
Yeah.
This heads up, that has not been submitted yet. The detail has not been submitted for
Okay,
spring town meeting.
talk to Derek.
Nah, give him a chance. He's got something happening at home.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So
that's
did you get a copy of the budget?
Yes,
So if you look on the budget, the bottom
I know.
expenses, you'll see a
I don't-
line that says capital.
Guy,
I
I know it's there.
Okay,
I
I'm sorry.
know it.
Okay,
And it's not enough money to cover what you asked for.
I think well, it should be
No, you're
$907,000.
$22,000 short,
How many?
$22,000 short.
Hmm,
Yep,
I think we had that discussion, 22, I doubled, in the line, I put 22,000 twice. I think we corrected that, you and I.
yep.
Yeah, we did. We talked about it probably a month and a
know
half
that.
ago. It was 22,000, I included $22,000 twice, and I took it out. So then we did the math and it was correct,
Nope.
yes. I'll pull it out tomorrow. I'm sorry, Monday when I get back to work, I'll pull it out.
Okay. Anything else, anyone? Mac? Peter?
No, nothing new.
Nothing.
Okay. Sandy, our next meeting is going to be on the 22nd. Same time, same station.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Oh, Donna, you look so different.
Second,
All in favor?
I
400 at whatever the time is. 7:34.